Are you feeling a lot of stress in your life and wonder what you can do about that? Have you tried meditation? Have you been able to get a daily meditative practice going, or have you struggled there? Is life just too busy for you to make time? Well, today we have Cheri Augustine Flake with us. She is the stress therapist, and she's here to talk to us about misconceptions about stress and how to get yourself into a habitual meditative practice. And, she's so amazingly positive about meditating that you will definitely get inspired to start your practice after listening to this episode. So join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, to the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably deeper within ourselves, to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we're doing here on this planet Earth. I'm your host, Carrie Hummingbird. And as you know, I like to have these conversations week after week and bring beautiful guests with us on this journey of discovery and hopefully give you something that lights you up today and gives you hope and inspiration. And today we're going to have a conversation about something that I definitely feel preciously in my body is about stress and how to come into stillness to overcome stress. And it's something that I actually practice in my gene keys. So my life's purpose is actually my life's work in my gene keys at the top of the chart is stress. So as if there isn't enough feeling of stress anyway, just by being a human being, but then to have it in my chart as a frequency is like, that is really mastery to go, yes, I'll take this frequency on a time in the planet when everyone is feeling stressed. Cool. Why don't I sign up for that curriculum? So that's what I did, Cheri. Cheri is our guest today. Cheri Flake is the stress therapist, actually. And so she's going to be here to talk to us about this. And I'm telling you guys, this is a big deal, right? I mean, I know you guys feel this in your body. And there's no way you can be a human alive on this planet today and not feel stress. We are at a time of great awakening. We are at a crux point. We are shifting. And we can also work with this energy to bring about blessings. All the shadows have blessings inside them, right? So I want to actually tell you a little bit about Cheri before we get going. And if you guys are like, Carrie's a little bit off today, what's going on with her? Yeah, I've been feeling under the weather. So you did spot that correctly. I'm not 100% today, but I am excited to have this conversation. So Cheri is a licensed clinical social worker. She has over 25 years of experience helping people in the Atlanta area. She's worked as a psychiatric social worker and therapist in numerous settings, including inpatient, outpatient, pharmaceutical research, psychiatric private practice, just like all over the psychotherapy industry here. And she's provided counseling, coaching, and workshops and hypnotherapy for people over the past 17 years. And she believes through all of that experience that meditation is a key, an important key to healthy living. So her mission is to teach you, as many people as possible, anybody who wants to listen, about the importance of meditation, but not just meditation, but habitual meditation. So we're going to be talking about today with Cheri about misconceptions of stress, about habitual meditation, about how you can make this a part of your life. And it's going to be a very straightforward, no nonsense, a conversation with some humor. So this is going to be really fun, you guys. So if stress is weighing you down, you're going to want to tune into this conversation. So Cheri, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, I just gave a little overview about how in your own personal life, when was it you were like, okay, I need a solution I need to go to, and this is going to be it?
Well, first, I love your whole theme and philosophy of your show. And I think it really fits in with what I do. I guess what happened to me is I got really, really sick. And I was running a bunch of businesses and I was touring with a band and I was on the road and I was in school. I was doing all the things and drinking 1,000 Diet Cokes a day. And I was busy. And then it caught up with me, even though I was pretty young. And I got really sick and they were like, we don't have an explanation for this except for stress. And so you're going to have to change or die. And I was like, I can't go to yoga. I don't chill. Like, that's not my style. You know what I mean? Like, I have so much energy. There's no way that I can like be still. That's just not an option for me. And they were like, well, it's going to have to be. And so at the time I was working with chronically mentally ill folks. They'll always have a space, in my heart. And what I started figuring out is, what is this that stress is causing illness? Like, how can it be causing illness? Like, why are we so stressed out? And I came to find out that like stress is a lot of our stressors come from that we want to be doing something. Like we want to do something. We want to learn how to speak Chinese, or we want to meditate every day, or we want to work out, or we want to eat carrots instead of birthday cake or whatever. And a lot of the stress comes from not having those things in your life with regularity. And so we're just sad. We're like, I want to do this, write a novel, but I don't write at all. Or I want to run, but I don't even walk or whatever. And so I got really interested in healthy habits and how to create healthy habits. And then after a while, I was like, really the only one we need. I mean, especially if we want to know the hidden secrets of this earth and like what the real truth is, it's getting quiet and being still. And a lot of people in this business, Cheri, like they want to do it, or they go on a meditation retreat, or they go at the end of the yoga class, or they find some meditation in their life, or they try it out, or they do it for a little bit and then stop. They want to do it, but we don't really know a lot. Like, how many people can you name that are doing it every single day without stress, procrastination, or excuses? Even in our business, it's hard to name 5 people. And so what I learned was that's where my focus needs to be, because I mean, Cheri, it's about as good for you as water. There's nothing, I mean, maybe don't call social services, but like I would rather my kids miss a meal than miss a meditation. That's how important I have found in my practice, in my life with my family. Everything changes. And, when I give these talks on meditation and how good it is for you, it takes me like 6 or 8 minutes just to read the clinically proven benefits of meditation that have been clinically proven. So it's astounding. And it's like kind of like a gift. And there's really specific reasons why meditation is harder than other habits to create. I mean, you are in a battle with your ego. Your ego's like, nah, let's go brush your teeth. Nah, let's go have coffee. No, let's go make lunches. No, let's figure out dinner. Like it wants to keep on moving to the next thing. And it's pretty difficult to make meditation habitual. And I've unlocked a couple keys there to help people figure out how to get it in their life with regularity. And then a lot opens up.
Yeah, it's kind of the intention, right? It's the intentionality of how you start your day versus like if you're going to be unintentional, then life's just happening to you, right?
Yeah, you got to kind of take the reins over your roommate. Your constant running dialogue of what I like this, I don't like this, I want to do this later, I messed this up yesterday. I mean, it's constantly obsessed with what happened and what's going to happen. And meditation requires that you're in what's happening
right now, right here.
Yeah, nothing's going to happen in the future. It's going to happen right now. And nothing ever happened in the past. It all happened right now. And we're missing it because we're obsessed with what's going to happen.
This is kind of the basis, right? I mean, like I've certainly studied with some amazing teachers, right? So amazing shamanic teachers, you go on spiritual journey, you go away with them for the week. And it's just like, oh my God, like all this stuff opens up, right? Because they are in presence. And you're in their presence with them, and everybody, there's nothing else you're doing. So you're in presence for that whole week, right? Or for the weekend or whatever. But then you go home.
And you kick the dog. You know what I mean? I'm making quote marks. But that's kind of the rub, right? Like we go somewhere, we learn how to do it. It was amazing. It was wonderful. It was awesome. But no one really gives us the tools to keep doing it. And there are amazing benefits of meditation that are clinical and listed in all the mental health and physical health. And I mean, people who meditate enjoy music more. People who meditate have a decreased need for sleep. But you don't get any of these beautiful, luscious, amazing benefits unless you do it.
You have to practice it. And that's
unless you do it. There's a lot of chat to talk. And the pictures of the Instagram at the beach with the white flowy and this and that. And I mean, taking a picture of someone meditating is kind of like taking a picture of them sleeping. I really try. I tell my assistant all the time, I just got back from a meditation retreat. It was amazing. It was on Jekyll Island in Georgia. It was beautiful. But I was like, please don't take pictures of me meditating. Because it's like, you're inward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're inward. And it's like hard to capture that experience.
You have to be a little, I don't know. maybe there are haters, maybe there are opposers, but your job is to make sure you're not that, right? And this is the best way to get better at stress. Because earlier you said overcome stress. We got to be careful with that, because what we need to remember is people who report really low stress also report really low happiness. Okay. So if you ain't living like you ain't stressed, like your most stressed out times in your life is like buying a house, graduating from college, like those things aren't necessarily bad. And we really need to start to differentiate stress versus, excitement versus nervousness, and how we interpret stress and what stress is. And getting better at it is kind of the key. And I'm stealing that from Kelly McGonigal, besides being Professor McGonagall in California, which if you're a Harry Potter fan, you love that name. She talks about getting better at stress. And it makes a lot of sense, because we have that ability as long as we pay attention, if we stay here. And there are some really easy ways to make sure that you are a habitual meditator, not a crisis meditator, not a binge meditator, not a retreat meditator. I know a lot of people go on retreats and they meditate like a boss, and then they come home and they've been putting their ego aside all week long and putting their ego aside all week long. And then they come home and they're super cranky, right? They're like, or they're sensitive. I have to get gas, or this light's too bright. There's a lot going on when we do it and then don't do it, and then do it and then don't do it. And there's this kind of balance and evenness that comes from really practicing yoga, basically. And that's being still. This is one of the limbs of just being quiet and still, coming inward, not relying so much on your senses, being curious about your breath, using your breath to deepen your practice. And so, I'm a therapist. I have like all these limits on things I can do. People freak out when I'm like, I'm going to teach you how to meditate. Like, they want me to say mindfulness, but I don't really love that word. I want you to be mindlessness.
Yeah, I always wondered about that. It should be mindless, not mindful.
It doesn't make any
mindful
sense.
is what we do all day long.
Exactly. Like you and I, let's change it right now. Let's just start calling it
mindless.
Mindless. Let's call it mindlessness. Less mind.
And they say that's bad. But it's not. It's actually worse to be so full.
I know. It doesn't make any sense. But there's also this misconception about meditation. Like a lot of people will say, well, running is my meditation, or sewing is my meditation, or baking is my meditation. I'm like, hey, that's like saying singing is my talking. Like it's a whole other thing. It's cool if you can be mindful, mindless when you do those things, or that you can have laser focus, or that your brainwaves are like gammaed out, like you are in the zone. That's awesome. But you need to have a formal sit. Okay. The way that you think about it is you need it before you need it. You know what I'm saying? Like my sister has asthma, so she takes this little inhaler every day so she doesn't have an asthma attack. She might still have one, but it's not going to be as bad. You know what I'm saying? Or she might not have one at all. And then she's got a different thing, different tools for when she does have an asthma attack, right? So you got to kind of think about it like just this little preventative measure that you take each day that really doesn't take much time. And some of my clients, no kidding, Cheri, for real, they will like up their meditation time by 30 seconds. This is a practice you want for the rest of your life, not every day perfectly in January. Really see it like, okay, if we lived in the East, we would probably, or in certain parts of the East, we would probably already have something that looks like this. This is completely foreign to us. So come into it. I teach meditation to Americans. Okay. So
it's a whole thing of itself.
Okay. It's a whole other thing. So I like to give them jobs while they're meditating, right? All of my clients I have a 2-week meditation challenge for my new clients. They have to text me every morning after they've done it. Accountability partners are amazing. So I work as that, right? So what you want to do is just your ego's going to be like, no, we don't have time. We don't have time. This morning I had a new client. I started her at 3 minutes. 3. Okay. Yesterday, you probably looked at like someone's cousins from New Jersey's like wedding on Facebook that you don't even know for 20 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about 3 minutes. Okay. And if you're going to spend all your time on picking up my phone and pantomiming being busy, right? Being distracted, then you have to counter that with some concentration practice, man. And what I noticed with my kids who are, they're kind of mean and rotten because they're coming into their teens, but like I say, concentrate or whatever, like we don't even teach them how to do that. We got to teach everybody.
It's so funny because You're saying that, but then like yesterday, I knocked on my son's door, who's back home again. He's 24, and he's just lying in his bed inside himself, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm just being with myself." And I was like, "You just do that all day long?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think more people should do it."
Feel like, do you get paid for that?
Like that's really cool, but also like
really cool. That's advanced. Like,
how long can you be inside yourself like that? And hours, apparently days.
What is he doing? Is he listening to music?
No, he was just
solving problems.
I don't know, contemplating. It's interesting because I don't know if you know about the gene keys, but I have the contemplative mind, right? So there's different types of minds in the gene keys sort of system. And contemplative mind is one where, since I have one of those and my son does too, I know how it works. It's kind of like, it just wants to contemplate like everything. So if you just give it like a little something to think about, it just goes, and it can travel around and go down into these spaces. And then you can have feelings come up in your body and you can really like be with that. And it can open up all kinds of realizations. And it's like, oh, wow, this is really cool. The contemplative energy. But that's really different than meditation. Meditation is really about just not following the trail, but just allowing it to go by, right? Meditation's a really different kind of thing.
So in the Buddhist tradition, that would be much like the monkey mind, right? And I'm a big fan of this contemplative. For my clients, I call it thinking time, because I think what it does is if you and your son are able to sort of go down these rabbit holes and not get anxious, okay, because some people get anxious doing that, it can really help your meditation practice because you've already thought that through. And if your brain knows that it has an opportunity to lament over something or have time to solve a problem or contemplate different kinds of creative solutions, it allows you to meditate a little better. Meditation is concentrating on one thing. It's not no thing or nothing, right? You're not trying to clear your mind. You are just at the beginning stages. It's concentration. You're just focusing on one thing. And the reason why we usually start with breath is because you always have it. And you don't really do it. Your brain is doing it for you. Like all last night you were breathing and it went great, and you were unconscious. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not really doing it, like actively thinking and performing it, but it's also not like making white blood cells. You're not completely disengaged. You can actually manipulate it and think about it. And that can be a little confusing for some people. Like, how do I think about my breath, And so one of the ways that you can do that is just looking at your breath as if you are, a bystander. You're a witness to it. You're just watching it. You're not trying to change it or make it better or deciding how it should be and shooting on yourself and all of that. You're just noticing it, which for your brain can be very boring. It would rather be contemplative and follow your train of thought. It would rather do that. In fact, it's obsessed with that and finding ways that you're different or better or the worst or whatever, our ego identities, our roommate's obsessed with that. But it's coming back to that anchor time and time again. And then you start to see the physiological things happen in your brain with that just incessant point of focus. It's incredibly boring for your brain after 3 or 4 seconds. So you have to notice when you're spacing out and come back to the breath and come back to the breath and come back to the breath. And a lot of people will say to me like, well, I can't meditate. And, just like anything, okay, you can't. I mean, I'm not going to try to talk someone into it. I don't think that's true, but I think we kind of decide what we're going to be so we can get by. Everybody knows someone who says, well, I'm not a morning person. And I'm like, well, wait till you have a kid. You know what I mean? Like, or they're like, I can't really focus that long. I'm like, wait till you get to college. Like, you know what I mean? You start to find yourself in situations where you do a little bit better. You do a little bit better. And we're really good at changing. We change all the time. But changes that we want to make and that we've failed to make because of New Year's resolutions or whatever, and I talk a lot about New Year's resolutions, they start to make us feel bad. And if you feel bad about something, you will not change it. Your brain is actively working on avoiding that thing for you. It thinks you don't want it. So it's really important that you're talking about meditation or whatever it is that you want to make habitual in a light manner. At least, even if you're faking it, you can trick that part of your brain into thinking that you want it until you do. Because it's all just a matter of repetition until it's habitual. And then it's just a part of who you are, something you do without stress, procrastination, or excuses, Runners are never saying like, when am I going to run? Like what, I can't find the time. Like they just run.
Yeah, it's kind of
So,
like deciding, right? Making a choice and
oh,
then
nailed
leaning
it.
into the discomfort of whatever arises with the choice and moving yourself forward on that path to say, yes, I'm doing this. I'm thinking of the unconscious incompetence, the competence model, it's like when we're unconsciously incompetent, we have no idea that we're even incompetent. But when we become aware that we're incompetent, it's like, oh, wait a second. This meditation thing is actually I have monkey mind. Oh, okay. And then you start to become aware of your drifting. You get sucked into social media tunnels, which are great for marketers because they can totally sell you stuff. You're like falling asleep to television and you realize that now you're buying products that were rotating on the television screen when you were sleeping. And you start to realize you've been programmed, right? And you're like, oh my God, I am like such a guinea pig. And then you start to become conscious of that and you want to break out of that. Well, then you have to, like what you're talking about, practice competence consciously, which is meditation. You have to practice conscious competence by doing it, not by thinking about it or thinking you're going to, but you have to actually do it. And when you do that, you build the capacity to be present, the capacity to be present with your incompetence, because it flips back and forth until you become unconsciously competent, which is what you were saying about. Like if you just keep telling yourself, I love to meditate, I love to meditate, I love to meditate, and eventually your brain believes it, you become unconsciously competent with it, right? It just becomes part of who you are. But that flip flop between the conscious incompetence and the conscious competence, that's where the work is. It's uncomfortable.
There's a very specific like interim of time where any behavior hasn't become habitual yet, right? And so you kind of have to force yourself to do it. And, there are some cool ways to get yourself motivated. And there are some huge misconceptions about motivation. I do think that anyone that's watching your podcast or listening is going to be a little bit more hip to what you're talking about because it makes perfect sense. But you got to remember, like, okay, so there's this time. It's not a habit yet. This is what I want. It's harder to do. It takes more psychic energy, however you explain it. And there are some really easy ways to get yourself motivated to do it. First, you need to do it. My teacher, David G., he says RPM, rise, pee, meditate, rise, pee, meditate. No rise, pee, brush your chops, let the dog out, make the coffee. No, it's rise, pee, meditate, rise, pee, meditate. And because what happens is you're making the coffee and then you let the dog out and then you make your lunch or whatever. And then that meditation thing just never happened because your ego is going to talk you out of it. It's going to talk you out of it. You know what happens when you're meditating? Your ego is missing. Okay. And so your ego goes out of its way to make sure that doesn't happen. And so there are really cool tricks and ideas that you can try in order to get your ego on board. Okay. And just win those private little battles in your head. When you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I feel great or whatever. And like, whatever. And then you're like, oh, it's Wednesday or I got to go to work. I have that problem going on. The kitchen's messy, whatever. But that little blissful moment before your roommate wakes up, that little teensy spot, you can kind of grasp that and use it to get you to do what you want to do. I mean, has anyone ever gone to yoga and been like, that's the worst idea. I really wish I hadn't gone. It never happens. Do you ever go sit in meditation and be like, really wish I hadn't done that? That was a horrible idea. That doesn't happen. So why wouldn't you want to do it? It's because your ego is obsessed with sameness. It thinks if you are drinking, beer all day and you're watching Desperate Housewives, I'm showing my age, eating birthday cake all day. If you do that every single day, your brain wants you to continue to do that because you're alive. I mean, that's where that part of your brain, that's where its goals are. It just wants you to be alive. Survival is not good enough for us. We want to be like self-actualized. We want to be better. We want to be happy. We want to be, I don't know, we have goals and stuff.
Or like you spent all the money on the training, so you actually want to do something with it. I mean, that's where a lot of people that come to me, they're like, I've spent all this money on all these other trainings. And I want to fully step in and be the healer. I want to be the guide. I want to be the mentor, but like I'm blocked. And it's like, yeah, because it takes devotion. It's one of those things that you have to practice it. You can learn the tools, you can learn the techniques, but until you actually practice it, you don't master it. And until you master it, you're not going to be the thing you say you want to be. The only way to be what you say you're here to be, right? Self-actualized, be a healer, be whatever you want to be, is you have to practice it. You have to master it. You have to be devoted to it. You can't let anything get in the way of that. And that's what you're talking about is creating those little, because once you create that practice, let's say the meditation, then you can expand on that. And then you can get more of a traction over this part of you that likes the sameness, this part of you that doesn't want to advance, doesn't want you to be what you came here to be.
You nailed it. That's exactly right. Because eventually I don't feel right unless I get up and meditate, right? Like eventually it is the normal thing. It has become the birthday cake. And so like that thing is normal, or learning Chinese or working on your book or whatever the thing is that you want to be doing. You have to do it over and over again, and you do need repetition in order to make it. But I'm just saying that we know now that intrinsic rewards are way, way more likely to get you to do something and stick with it than the external rewards, right? So you want to be able to be like, how do you feel when you sit quietly? Probably damn good. Okay. Probably pretty good. So the intrinsic reward is already there. You don't have to be like, well, I will meditate and then I will buy myself that good coffee I like or whatever. It doesn't have to be outside of you. And so the thing about meditation, though, is it exacerbates everything. It's the one thing that you could make habitual that will help all of your healthy habits. And it's anyone's guess what it's going to be for you. So like, yeah, I mean, I definitely sleep better. I was a chronic, I could not sleep. I was in the chronic insomniac. I had all these health problems. Everything got better. But then I got this extra thing, Cheri, that's so cool. And all of my clients have an extra thing, a little thing they got from meditation that we could have never guessed, right? And mine is that I never noticed a sunset until I meditated regularly. I didn't even
so beautiful.
See it. Like I didn't even notice it. And now it's like every day there's one, Cheri. We get one every day. I'm like, I don't want to miss any. I had this artist make a mural in my little meditation room, and it's the sunset is so beautiful. And interestingly, as the sun sets, it changes on my wall. It's really cool. But like, it never even dawned on me that I was missing something. And like my clients will say things like, yeah, I feel better and I'm whatever. But I also like one of my clients said, I just had like a connection with a bug the other day. Like I just sat with this bug and it didn't come near me and it didn't go away from me. And it just kind of walked around and I just kind of watched it. And I feel like I might care about that bug when normally I might have stepped on that bug. You know what I mean? You don't really know what you're going to get. Mostly it's a connection to nature. There's a lot less seeking in, social media and that types of things or TV. You're wanting to connect with people more, compassion. And it's because the part of your brain that gets better and develops further with meditation is where all of those things lie. Your prefrontal cortex. So it's really into compassion, empathy, kindness. It's an opportunity for you to pause before you respond. That's why little kids don't have one, okay? Because they don't pause at all. So you're actively working on strengthening those threads that soothe the part of your brain that's all riled up all the time and just wants to have birthday cake or whatever. And you don't really have to do anything except these little teensy deposits of meditation each day. And it soothes that part of your brain. That's why monks are super chill. Well, now we've moved away from just studying monks and we study just regular people that after they meditate for 3 weeks, for 10 minutes, which is kind of long. And I probably wouldn't start off at 10 minutes with my clients. I never do that, but
10 minutes. What about like an hour? Anyway, 2 hours.
Well, that is what you're building up to, right?
Okay.
See, but that's the rub. Like January 1st is like, there's nothing magical that happens on that day. You cannot magically change on that day. And your brain is wired up to resist change, right? Like sameness. It sees sameness as safety. I did that yesterday. I've been doing that forever. Still alive. Good enough for me. So we'll actively work on that. So what you really want to do is not even practice meditation so much. It's just practicing showing up. Get up, go sit there. Maybe you just sit there for like 30 seconds and then get up. You could even start with that because I'm talking about a lifetime, a behavior that's going to be there for the rest of your life. It's okay if you just show up for the first week. It's okay if you only meditate for 1 minute. It's okay if you only meditate for 3 or 5. As long as you are showing up. That's why I do retreats where we kickstart your practice, right? Like I did a retreat in September and this girl just wrote me a couple days ago. I'm just so happy for her. She's like, I have not missed one day. And she never
That's
meditated.
beautiful. Yeah. And the place that it can go is like this freaks people out when I tell them this, but I like to go to the float tank, the immersion tank where you just close off all. I love that. It's like my favorite practice. I go several times a week. And so as my deep immersion, I will go for like 2.5 hours and I'll just lie there. And I've done it dark and silent where I'm just like alone with myself.
I
Floating.
thought the only way to do it. I've only done it once. But
Well, you can also play tones. Sometimes I like to play the miracle tones because I like the frequency work coming through the water to heal, bring healing to my body. So sometimes I'll have that. I always have the lights out. I like it with lights out because my mind, being a contemplative mind, as I mentioned, it likes to start down a trail of something, right? It really likes to contemplate things. So what I've noticed is that if I go into that float and I open sacred space, like it's an indigenous practice of calling in spirit. And by the time I get done opening sacred space, I even fall asleep halfway through it, or I'm just lying there and I'm zoned. I'm like out. And then there's like peace comes over everything. And I'm not asleep, but I'm not awake. I'm kind of like in a liminal space. And I'm just like totally quiet.
Yeah. You're probably changing your brainwaves there.
I'm just like out, and I don't feel stress then. So for me, stress in my chart has been a real motivator to figure out how to not feel stressed. So, I have been really driven to figure out how to be in peace, and stillness is the key. So stillness for me is the key to finding peace, because in stillness, I can digest like everything that was unprocessed. And this is another piece I want to throw in there is like, I've realized that as an empath, as somebody that feels, and also with a contemplative mind that wants to make stories about what I'm feeling, it can get congested in here, right? So if I don't go to stillness, there's no time for it to all like digest and be processed. And if it's unprocessed and undigested, then it's like I'm full of stuff that's just not really even what needs to be in here. And it's the clarity of the pool that is creating the peace, right? So like we got to get to stillness so that all that stuff can be digested, processed. Like you said, like going down the tunnel to figure out so that I can put that thing to rest. Like I don't need that thing anymore. Like we're done with that story. That's completely done. I've already explored it. Thank you. I witnessed the whole thing now. It's complete.
But what about your stories completely behind? Because still when you're thinking, you're bringing you know what I mean? And I'm saying put your story outside of the pool the next time you go in there.
Oh yeah. Like a lot of times I'm lying there. I'm just like,
I've only done that once. It was pretty interesting. At first, I spent the first like 10 minutes kind of scared because it was totally dark.
There's nothing to do. I mean,
I was worried about the door. I don't know. I had like a little apprehension. Like, what's happening?
Claustrophobia?
I was a little worried. Like, I can't see anything, which is weird. Like, just getting used to that was like a moment. But yes, I mean, one of the 8 limbs of yoga is pratyahara, is, getting rid of your senses. And that's what that pool does.
There's nothing to look at. You can still feel the water, though. You're floating on the water, so you can feel that.
Oh, sure. But not really, though, because it's the same temperature as your body. So you can't really tell where it stops and starts.
It is. Yeah, it does kind of all merge. Yeah, it does merge.
Like freaked out by that. I'm like, I don't know if I'm on the water. I definitely could not relax for the first time. I mean, I only did it one time because I had a free, because I'm a therapist. So you get a free, please try this out. Or whatever.
I hope you try it again. I mean, it's fascinating that way because it's really the only environment I found that isn't to have distractions.
That's lovely and wonderful and amazing and awesome. That's like cooking is my meditation, right? But you want to practice having distractions and being focused anyway. So like, we were at the beach this weekend.
I love that you're saying this because this gets to my whole spiritual bypass conversation that I was wanting you to dive into is like, because if we silo ourselves and just create a bubble reality of like never having to have experiences that make us uncomfortable, then
how you feel at the
that's
airport.
Bypassing. So please continue. But I wanted to just insert that comment.
Okay, so I don't even know what I was saying.
But you were talking about going to the beach and meditating there and not letting yourself be distracted, which is being in public.
Distracted by what you were saying. I was really into what you were saying. Okay, so we're meditating on the beach. We're on St. Andrews Beach, Jekyll Island. It's absolutely breathtaking. I mean, it is one of the like top 10 places in the United States to see a sunset. It is just jaw-dropping sunset, right? And everybody's looking out. I mean, there weren't dolphins this time, but I think it was the first time we'd ever been there where there weren't dolphins, right? Like there's all these beautiful birds. There's little kids in the background. You can hear laughing and loving and splashing. And like, it's just perfect, serene, beautiful. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe we don't do like an active yoga practice, asana practice. Maybe we do yoga nidra. Like, have you ever done that? It's just like super chill. So I was like, why doesn't everybody lay down And so I get them in this really, and I'm also a hypnotherapist. So I always like to, like, if I can get them to trance a little bit, it's kind of nice because then I can, make some suggestions about making meditation habitual. So I got them like in the palm of my hand. It's very quiet. So there's no one there. Everyone's left now, right? We're the only ones on the beach. And I mean, it's just breathtaking. And I bring my dog, Psyche, to this beach because she loves the beach and it gets her a chance to be away from my puppy at home. And she's a therapy dog. She comes to work with me. And so she's sitting next to me and her are like, isn't this amazing? We're having this moment. And then all of a sudden, these two big dogs come. And these people, I mean, they're just completely in the zone. And I'm like, okay, meditate on this. Here's a mantra. Here you go. And then me and Psyche are like, this is so awesome. How you doing, girl? How you doing, girl? And then all of a sudden, these two big dogs come and she's like, ruh, 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 ruh. I mean, it's like a dog barking frenzy. And I'm like, you know what? It's not my job to get everybody to be quiet. It's your job to not find that annoying, all the judgments, distracting, wrong. Maybe that's exactly right. Maybe you're supposed to hear that and be like, I'm just going to meditate anyway. I used to have this client who was like, there's like construction going on next to my house. How am I supposed to meditate? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is perfect because all that construction is a jackhammer is a reminder of just what's happening right now. That's what's happening. It's just a sound. You decide if it's annoying or loud or wrong or upsetting or stressful or whatever. What kinds of thoughts do you have going on around that? And so how do you sit with your distracting thoughts of, I got to get out of here. I can't take this anymore. My knee hurts. My leg hurts. I can't stay here. Cheri's crazy. What is she talking about? She's nuts. I hate it. I got to go. I don't have time for this. I hate it. Okay. And then just sit there anyway. All of a sudden you feel amazing. You're like, I won that. I won. I did it. I won it anyway. And then in the wise words of Venerable Hanawati, which is an amazing nun, or she likes to be called, she's a monk in Hendersonville. She said, one day you will look to meditation as if it's an old friend. And I was like, oh, yeah, right. And now I do. Cheri, I do. Okay. So now instead of being like, I like this. It's good. I tell my clients, and I also have tattoos that I tattoo them with, these little temporary tattoos that say it's easy and I like it. And you just keep saying, it's easy and I like it. It's easy and I like it. And the next thing you know, it is easy and you do like it. It's amazing. It's amazing.
With a cheerleader like that, I don't know how you guys can't even get started because come on now. This is fun.
It's so exciting for me because finally something in my practice. I am a therapist, you guys. I'm a psychotherapist. I just became cool like 5 minutes ago. Most people hated all therapists up until recently. They didn't want to talk about it. They didn't want to discuss trauma. Now it's all out in the open. Everybody's into it. So cool. We finally have this one thing that works 100% of the time if you do it. All you have to do is do it.
Is be quiet with yourself.
It's amazing.
A minute or two.
Nothing will cure whatever ailment that you have. It will help you. I mean, I know that's like, I'm not your therapist, so I can say whatever I want here. My personal opinion is, if you told me, Cheri, if you were like, Cheri, you know what? I've never meditated before, but I'm going to meditate every single day for 10 minutes. And I'm going to call you in 3 weeks. And if you called me in 3 weeks and said, nothing's happened, I'm completely the same, I wouldn't believe you. I wouldn't believe that you did it every day for 10 minutes. Because you do change. You change drastically. That's faster than the gym, man. I go to the gym all the time. I don't change it all. You know what I mean? I just try to make sure I don't get weaker. I just try to make sure I get stronger. I don't look that much different. If working out was the way to everything, then I would be the champion of all champions. Definitely meditation. That's the habit that you want to bring into your life. And I'm happy to teach it to you. Come on a retreat with me. They're so fun. We nail it. The food is amazing. It's this Ayurvedic, lovely vegetarian thing in the mountains. We have a beach retreat. So fun. Everybody's there. Some people are there, they meditate every day for 30 minutes twice a day. Some people are there, they've never meditated in their life. So it's so fun. Everybody kind of comes together. They learn a bunch of different ways to do it because meditation is like music, Cheri. Like, if like you're not in the mood for mala meditation or breath meditation, if you're listening to the radio and you're like, I'm not in the mood for James Brown, you don't turn it off, right? Instead, you just put on Beyonce or something. Like you change your mind, Taylor Swift, whatever you're in the mood for. So you have all these different kinds of meditative tools. You don't have to do the same thing all the time. You can cater to that part of your brain that wants to be entertained and try something new. And you get really good at looking to meditation as an old friend.
That's beautiful. I love that. So wonderful. So I know that you do retreats and you do private client work. I'm sure you do groups. And so do you have a way for people to get started with you? I know you have a podcast, but do you have, besides the podcast?
Besides my podcast, I don't know. That's kind of it. I'm limited
Okay.
a little bit because I'm a therapist. So I can only see people who are in Georgia. That's where my license is.
Okay. So Georgia.
So people that are in Georgia, I can see you. I do have a beach retreat. I just got back from that. We just booked the next one. It's going to be in September. I have a mountain retreat. It's a little more intense. The one at the beach is pretty laid back. You're like on vacation, but you get to meditate sometimes and do yoga. It's a little different. It's a little more like we are meditating quite a bit each day. There are some cool surprises in there and guest musicians and it's amazing up in the mountains, and the food is a delight. But I also have a podcast where in every one I give a little psychotherapy tip, something that I've seen in my practice that works. And then there's a meditation there. And that's kind of it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show and bringing your vivaciousness and your wisdom. And
you brought it out, Cheri. That's what happened.
I know. It's such a pleasure to have you on and get to know you even better. And I just want to encourage everybody, go check the show notes and go to the links and go check out Cheri and check out her.
It's thestresstherapist.com.
Thestresstherapist.com. Go check it out.
Show.
Yeah. And give us a like or a rating and share this out with somebody that might need this inspiration to go practice meditation and maybe would like this interview as an icebreaker. So share it out, and we're going to give kisses. So I always give people kisses at the end of the interview. And here they come. You want to give me kisses? Let's go kisses, everybody. We love you.
I love it.
Kisses. And thanks for being on the show. And we'll see you guys later. See you next week. Bye for now, everyone.
Thank you so much.
If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now. To dive in deeper to nourishing conversation, visit soulnectar.show.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, awake, show. Take a sip from the drip of nectar, from the source of who you are. Soul Nectar Show. Yeah.